Welcome to the Wargaming Garage and this 1000 point narrative game between Sisters of Battle and Death Guard. So this campaign, Black Watch, looks at a 5-mission campaign following the Solblades from the Order of the Burning Shield, the Black Watch, as they heed the call to create Solblades and attempt to hold up the Leviathan tendrils for the Tyrannids during the 4th Tyrannic War. The mission today is Fell Tides, which is from White Dwarf, April 24. We'll go over that shortly, but in the meantime, let's go and have a look at the armies. So here we have roughly 1,000 points of Sisters of Battle, and today they are led by Canoness Marseille. So she's got the enhancement, the Blade of St. Eleanor, so that gives her +1 attack, strength and damage, and then if she's got loses a wound, it's actually +2 attack, 2 strength, 2 damage. So she can be a bit of a beat stick, and she allows the unit that she's leading to re-roll the hit roll. So quite good, but she'll be leading a squad of sisters today. Then the Dogmata, she gives the squad extra OC, so could come in useful today on those objectives. And then we have the Image of Fire, who's going to go with the Retributor squad to give them a 4-up invulnerable save. Then the Retributor squad, whilst we're here, has got melters, 2 melters, a flamer and a bolter. And they're going to be inside the Immolator, which is with twin multi-melters, hunter killer missile and heavy bolter. Backing that up for some long range support will be an Exorcist, again with hunter killer missile, heavy bolter and the Exorcist missiles. We've got 2 squads of sisters, and 1 standard loadout with Artificer, Stormbolter and a Flamer, and then the other one has a Stormbolter with a Melter and a Combi Flamer. We have a Seraphim squad, 2 of which have had the replacement Inferno pistols, so if they get up close and personal they should hopefully do some damage. And then we've got 2 separate squads of Repentia with the Repentia Superiors, which will be into the Rhinos. They'll be getting the reroll hits, and if they make a charge they'll be rerolling the wounds, but let's see how they get on today. I do like them as a unit. I do think they've suffered a little bit in 10th, but let's see how they get on. And with that we'll have a look at the Death Guard. So over here we have 1,000 points, just under actually, of Death Guard, and they're led today by Plague Mirth, Thagux Plague Mirth. He's the Warlord today, and he's the Malignant Plague Caster, and he's got he'll be leading a squad of Marines, and his second in command today is Blithe Lung, which is a Foul Blight spawn, who has got Shamble Rot, So he's adding 2 to any charges made, or so subtracting 2 from any charges made against the unit, and gives the unit he's with fight first, and that unit will be the melee squad, or mainly melee squad, of Plague Marines, whilst Plague Mirth leads a standard squad of Plague Marines. Blythe Lung and his squad will be riding in a Rhino, give him a little bit more transport, whilst this squad of standard Marines and Plague Mirth squad will be foot slogging it across the battle grid, while being supported by a Plague Burst Crawler with entropy cannons, Rot Hell Volley Gun and its Plague Burst Mortar, and 2 bloat drones, one of which is a Plague Spitters and one of which is a Flesh Mower variant. So we'll see how they get on. I think it's going to be a tough matchup for the Sisters, but they will get their benefit from the army rule, where if they lose this, if they go below starting strength, they get +1 to the hit roll, and if they go below half strength, they get +1 to the wound roll. So hopefully it sort of helps balance out between the harder to wound Death Guard versus the sort of horde aspect of the Sisters. So we'll see how we get on. But with that, we'll go on to the mission and on to deployment. So as we said before, the mission today is Fell Tides from the White Dwarf magazine in April, and you have essentially 5 objectives, 1 in the middle, 2 alphas and 2 omegas. Essentially, at the start of each battle round, they can move. They can move through models. They just but they move up to 6 inches. So the attacker rolls 1d6, and if one player has fewer victory points than the other, the player with fewer VP can actually add 1 or subtract 1 from the result. The player then uses the table below to mark where they go. So they can either go, alphas can go towards the attacker's battlefield edge, and the omegas can go towards the defender's battlefield edge. As you can see, so basically, you know, we can be moving objectives 6 inches towards each other. You get 5 VP for each objective you control, and at the end of the battle, whoever controls more, that player scores 15 VP. So we'll give this one a go. Thought it looked quite cool. So with that, it's now on to the mission, and we'll see who gets first turn. So white dice in this instance will be the Sisters, and the red dice will be for the Death Guard. Let's see who gets first turn. It'll be Death Guard, turn 1. So that's deployment completed. The Death Guard won the roll off, so they chose this board edge, and they've deployed the Rhino with the melee squad in and the Fab Light Spawn behind the set of containers. Then a squad of Plague Marines in the centre with the Plague Burst Crawler. Then the Malignant Plague Casters squad over on this left hand flank, supported by the 2 bloat drones. For the Sisters, on their left hand flank, they've parked the Exorcist, and then down the middle they've got a squad of Battle Sisters with the Canoness, and then the 2 squads of Repentia are in the Rhino. The Retribution squad with the Imager Fire are in the Immolator, and then the squad of Battle Sisters with the Dogmata are on the right hand flank. So it is the start of the battle round, so we get to roll the dice and see what happens. We've rolled a 5. So the alpha objectives, these 2, it's on the board. The 2 one is there and there, underneath the landing pad. They will move towards the Sisters, and these 2 here, this one and this one, will move towards the Death Guard. So we get that done, and then we'll move on to Death Guard, turn 1. Before we get too far into this, a little bit of admin for the Death Guard. I've not mentioned it. We'll be using the -1 to the saving throw as they get into contagion range. So the objectives were moved 6 inches this way, and around the Death Guard end, we moved 6 inches into that corner and here. So essentially, you know, almost straight away, the Death Guard are on the objectives. Everyone's gained a CP, and the sisters rolled a 2 for their miracle dice. So that being said, after the movement phase for the Death Guard, the Rhino with the melee squad advanced as far as it could, trying to put pressure on these objectives in later turns if it can. This squad here in the middle, again advanced but got a whole 1, trying to get pressure on that objective. Then round here, the Plague Burst Crawler and the Plague Casters squad moved up towards this objective. And it's covered with the Plague Burst Crawler and the 2 bloat drones for options. So there won't be much firing or shooting this turn because of line of sight and range. But however, the Plague Burst Crawler can thread the needle and can just about see the Cannoness's squad behind the containers. So we'll go on to the Plague Burst Crawler, doing some pot shots. So the only thing that's in range is the mortar. So many shots we get, d6 plus 3, so that's 5 shots. So we add 2 per blast to that, so quite a number of shots coming in the end. So hitting on 3s, it can just about see the Cannoness's squad. So 2 lethal hits have gone through. So strength 8, toughness 3 at this point, so 2s to wound. So 5 wounds. So -1, but back to +1 because of all the cover we got. And we lose 3 sisters. Oof. The ruling for the Plague Burst Mortar means we've got to take a battle shot test straight away. And they fail it. Okay, so I can't use stratagems and I can't do anything with it. But it's the end of the turn anyway, and we'll be re-rolling that in the command phase. So we'll see how we get on. So that marks the end of turn 1 for the Death Guard. They've whittled away some of the Battle Sisters in the Cannoness's squad, and started to secure the objectives. In this mission, you score objectives at the end of the battle round. So at the moment, we're on for scoring this one and this one. So let's see how the sisters retaliate as we enter sisters, turn 1. At the start of the sisters turn, we rolled a 5 for the miracle dice and everyone got a CP. The Rhino moved its way up to cover the objective and secure that, as did the Cannoness's squad. The Exorcist moved up, the Emulator moved up, and this squad of sisters stayed still. So there's not much going to happen. We might we advance this squad, so they're not doing anything. So it's just going to be the Exorcist, and the Exorcist is going to fire everything into that squad of Plague Marines in the building. So it's d6 plus 2 for the number of shots. We won't spend a miracle dice just yet. So 5 shots. So it is indirect. And we did move. So it's gone from 3s to 4s. So hitting on 4s. So 2 hits. Strength 10 versus toughness 5, so 2s to wound. So it's 2 wounds go through, and -2 becomes -1. So 1 goes through, d6 damage, kills a Plague Marine. Okay. So at the end of the first battle round, the sisters score 5 points for being on just one objective. The Death Guard score 10 for being on the 2 that they're on. So just incidental fire from both sides to try and work each other out. But let's see, as the Death Guard get closer, what they can do in the next battle round. And let's see if those objectives start to move again. So at the start of the battle round, we roll the dice. We get a 2. It's not going to make much difference. The sisters subtracting 1 or adding 1 to that, it's still going to fall within that bracket. So with it being 1 to 3, again, these objectives will move this way, and the Death Guard objectives, the attackers' objectives, will move that way. So we'll get those moved, and then we'll head on to battle round 2. So at the end of the movement phase for the Death Guard, we brought the Rhino up and did a bit of blocking, and we're heading to the shooting phase shortly using the firing deck ability of the Rhino. Round here, this squad of Plague Marines advanced and got themselves onto the central objective. The Plague Burst Crawler moved forward, as did the 2 drones, hoping to get a charge off into this squad of sisters here. And the squad of the Plague Caster moved up a little bit, but stayed within control of that objective that's moved back, as has the other one. So we're looking for this one and this one to secure ourselves with the 10 points. But let's see what happens at the end of the battle round. So that being said, we'll move on to the shooting phase. And we'll start off with the firing deck out of here, utilising the Foul Blight Spawn into the beleaguered Canoness's squad. So he gets D6 shots for 2. Okay, so it's anti-infantry 2+. That's 2 wounds, -2. One's okay, and one it definitely isn't. We'll do the plasma gun out of that squad as well into the sisters. It won't supercharge, there's no need. It misses anyway. Okay. So then we'll move our way across the board to Plague Burst Crawler, who will put everything, entropy cannons. Well, entropy cannons will go into the Immolator. The Plague Burst Mortar will again target this Canoness squad. So we'll go for the Plague Burst, the Mortar this time, first time up, and that's 5 shots +3, that's 8, +1 for blast. That's 9 shots coming in. It is indirect now because you can't see the Canoness squad, so he is hitting on 4s. Wounding on 2s. That is 5 wounds. So 5 wounds at -1, things minus nothing because of the cover. And 2 more fall. But interestingly now though, that squad's army rule kicks in where they get a buff to their hit and wound rolls. Let's see if that comes in at all over the next couple of rounds. So entropy cannons from the mortar, from the Plague Burst Crawler into the Immolator. It can see it, so hitting on 3s. And both miss. Excellent. So the Rock Hell Volley Gun also came into the Immolator doing no damage, predictably. So now we'll come around to this bloke drone, putting everything into this squad of Battle Sisters. So 2d6 for the number of shots. For 11. Oof. So strength 6 against toughness 3, so 2s to wound, It's a 2-up anti-infantry anyway. Oh dear. So it ignores cover, so that is 10 wounds at -1. So 4 ups. Oh, that's not bad. So moving on to the charge phase, there's only going to be 2 charges by the 2 bloke drones just poking their heads up there into that squad of battle sisters. So the longest one is the plague splitter one. That's a 10-inch charge, which doesn't get in, and it's a 9-inch charge for the flesh mower, and doesn't get in. I'll spend a CP to re-roll that. Doesn't get in. Okay, interesting. So that marks the end of the Death Guard turn 2. They've again whittled the Canonesses squad down somewhat. Done a bit of blocking, so we have to make a decision with those Repentia as to what we're going to do with them. And starting to press into the lines. We've got to make decisions pretty soon, I think, about how we're going to deal with these Death Guard as we go on to Sisters turn 2. So at the end of the Sisters movement phase, a couple of bits of admin. We're up to 4 and 3 command points, and I've rolled some miracle dice. So some of those will come into effect this time, I'm sure. One of the squads of Repentia disembarked because we need to get rid of that rhino and get to the putrid, rotten meat inside and try and take down that squad. The Canoness has moved up onto the landing pad as a shortcut to try and maybe start taking this objective in later turns. The Retributed squad disembarked and are targeting that central squad as well. The Immolators move round, trying to take a pot shot at one of the drones, and this squad has started to move up and will see what it can do, if anything at all, against these drones, because lines are being pressed at the moment. The Seraphim squad is still in the air. We'll see for turn 3 where these objectives end up and see what we can do. So with that, we'll move on to the shooting phase. So we're going to start off the shooting phase with this squad here, and we're going to chuck some grenades at that bloke drone, because why not? So we get to roll 6d6, and every 4 up is a mortal wound. 3. Okay. So carrying on with that squad, we're in rapid fire range. So we're going to target it, and we get to hit on 2s because we're now below starting strength. Toughness, strength 4, toughness 10 though, so toughness 9, sorry, so 6 is to wound. 2 wounds. But he's fine, as suspected. There is a melter in that squad, which is hitting on 2s, hits, and is wounding on 4s. So I am going to use a miracle dice for that squad, because I haven't used one yet. So 5 up, demon save, which it fails. So it is d6 plus 2 at this range. Got 7 to get through. It's got 3 wounds left. So coming round to the Immolator, what we're going to do is we are going to split fire. We're going to put the Hunter Killer into this last drone here, and then we're going to put everything else into that Plague Marine squad. So we'll start with the Hunter Killer. Hits. Strength 14, toughness 9, so wounds on a 3, and it wounds. So it's -3, so 5 up demon save, which it fails. No, I won't spend the CP. Right, so D6, it's got 3 to get through. Oh. So it's got 2 wounds left. So heavy bolters going into Plague Marines. And we get sustained. Strength 5, toughness 5, so falls to wound. So it's 2 wounds come through, -1. No cover because you can see it. And 1 Marine goes pop. I'll make a note up there. 1's dead. And then the 2 melters. 1 hits, 1 misses. Wounds, -4. There is no save. And so another one goes pop. It's D6 plus 2 at that range. So it's 2 Marines killed from that squad. Very good. So we'll start with the Heavy Flamer from the Retributor squad for 6 shots. Strength 6, toughness 5, so 3's to wound. And I can re-roll the wound because that's the Immolator's special rule. That's 4 wounds go through, so 4 wounds at -1. And kills another Marine. That's 3 gone. And the Heavy Bolter. So 3 shots from the Heavy Bolter. 2 miss, no sustain this time. Falls to wound, but I can re-roll the wound and into nothing. Okay, and then 2 multi-melters. Okay, 3's to wound. That's a wound on a 5, and no save, and at this distance D6. So that's another one gone through. So that's 4 in total gone from that squad. There is a combi weapon in that squad. The Retributor squad's got a combi melter. So hitting on 4s though. Misses. Okay. So that leaves a couple of Marines in that squad as we move across onto the Exorcist. And everything's going to go into the Rhino. So we'll start with the Hunter Killer, which hits. Wounds on a 3, which wounds. -3, there's no cover here, so 6 up save for the Rhino, which it fails. So it's D6 damage for the 6. Excellent. Okay. So now we go on to the Heavy Bolter. So 3 shots. 2 sustained. 5's to wound. Oh, 3 more wounds come through. Next, this has powered up a little bit. And chips 1 more away. Chips 2 more away, it's -1. 2 wounds remaining. So this should mathematically, hopefully, right. Let's use a miracle dice. That squad's not, that tank's not used one yet. So we'll use the 6 for the number of shots. So D6 plus 3 gives us the 9 shots. It has remained stationary. And the Exorcist is a heavy weapon, so it's hitting on 2s. Okay. Strength 10, toughness 9, so 3 to wound. That is 5 wounds at -2. No. I killed a rhino. Does it explode? Oh, yeah. So D3 to the rhino for 3. Okay. And D3 to the sisters, the Repentia, for 1. She's a feel no pain. And she makes it. Excellent. Okay. So we'll mark that up. 7 wounds left on the rhino, and with that we'll move on to the charge phase. So there's 2 charges to make, which is the Repentia into the melee squad, which is going to take a command reroll apparently. That's better. And then the Retributor squad, just because I need that objective. So if I can OC them off, then I can stay in the fight in terms of victory points. There's a 6, that should do it. So move them in and we'll go from there. One more charge phase and one more charge to make, which is that squad of Battle Sisters into the injured bloke drone, and they make it in. So starting combat over here, I know we have so a couple of bits to clear up. The Foul Blight spawn has Shamble Rot, which was a -2 to the charge, but given they were there, they still would have made it in with what they rolled. And he does have fight first on this squad, so they will be fighting first. I'm just going to clear some of this up over here and here before we move on to resolving what happens down there. So this squad, the Retributor squad, is going to go into the Death Guard Plague Marine squad. So 5 attacks, hitting on 3s. Strength 3, toughness 5, so 5s to wound. Just the 1 wound, which he saves. The image of fire in that group, again, hits on 3s. Oh dear, the dream is dead. Definitely dead. Okay. So we'll work our way round to this squad of sisters here attacking the bloke drone. Let's see if we can chip anything away with the Dog Martyr. So 8 attacks hitting on 3s. Not bad. Wounding on 6s. Nope, absolutely nothing. So then 4 attacks. So then 4 attacks coming in from the Dog Martyr. So he hits twice. Strength 5 this time with her beat stick. So 5s to wound. 1 wound. -1, 2 damage. But no, the bloke drone is fine. So coming back to this squad, we have 2 Marines left. So let's see what we can do. The Image of Fire does give the sisters a 4 up invulnerable save. So let's see what, if anything, can be done. So we'll start with normal Marine, hitting on 3s. So it hits twice. Strength 4, now against toughness 2 because of the contagion. So 2s to wound off of a plague knife. It's crazy. Definitely does those wounds. Now it's normally AP 0, but because we've gone for the -1 to the save, it'll be a 4 up save or a 4 up invulnerable, whichever way you look at it. And they tank it. That could be critical. So if we go on to the sergeant, the champion, with his heavy plague weapon, he raises his plague fist and hits and wounds with lethal hits twice and wounds on a 2. That's 3 wounds come through. It's -2. So it is on the invulnerable save that the Image of Fire gives them. So here we go. And 2 go through, straight out killing 2 sisters. So let's see, with the Marines having higher obsec, it could put that under a contested objective rather than a 1-1. Let's have a look at what it does. So the bloke drone at the far side used its plague probe and hits and wounds just the once. Okay, because the lethal hits. -1 becomes -2, so it's a 5 up save, which kills one of the sisters. So not bad. So in this squad we have 3 bubotic weapons. We've got the axe, mace, and 2 bubotic weapons, an axe and a mace. So they strike out first, hitting on 3s. Okay. Strength 5, toughness 2, so 2s to wound. So all 5 go through. They have a 6 up invulnerable save. It's -2 becomes -3, so it's a 6 up invulnerable save. So 6s, and then feel no pains. So make 1, and then some feel no pains. So each of these only damage 1, but there is only 4 Repentia to get through. Let's see what we can do. Kills 2 of the Repentia straight away. Okay. I apologise, it is slightly out of sequence, but I will spend the remaining 2 CP I have for the sisters for the Hallowed Martyr, so they fight on death. Apologies, I should do it at the start of the fight phase or when they've been selected as a target of the attack. So apologies for that, but I will be doing that because in an effort to try and do anything to these Plague Marines, because I really need them gone. But it does show the power of that fight first ability with the Blightspawn. So we'll go for the heavy weapons, which is the champion, the flail, and the cleaver. So hit on 4s, but we have 4 lethal hits there. Wounding on 2s. So again, 5, 6 up invulnerable saves, because it's a -2 becomes -3 with the effective extra AP. I'll make 2 of them, but each of these is 2 damage. So the first one kills Repentia, kills Repentia, and kills Repentia. So the squad is then it goes on to the Repentia Superior. So that would be the squad. Or she wouldn't get a feel no pain. So actually, that was the squad. So with that, we will fight back with the Repentia as they fight on death. So each Repentia gets 2 attacks, and with the Superior in the squad, they get to re-roll the hit roll. And if they made a charge, they can re-roll the wound roll. So hitting on 4s, re-rolling. Okay, so 6 hits come through. Strength 6, toughness 5, so 3s to wound. And re-rolling because we made the charge. So that is 5 wounds that come through. -2, so 5 up saves for the Plague Marines. Wow. Okay, that kills 4 outright. Wowzers. The neural whips from the sister. And she hits twice. And it's anti-infantry 4 up. It was strength 3, so it would be 5, so it's anti-infantry 4 up. So it does 1 wound at -1, which they're fine. So that's 4 Plague Marines. It's wiped out the Repentia squad, but they've taken 4 Marines with them at the cost of 2 CP though. There's nothing left now for the sisters. That marks the end of turn 2 and battle round 2. And the sisters are on 1. This middle one is contested now. And the Death Guard are on 1 down here. So that's adding just the 5 points. So the Death Guard move up to 15, the sisters move up to 10. As we go on to battle round 3, I lost a unit for the Repentia, so we get a miracle dice there of a 4. As we go on to the next battle round, let's see what happens to the objectives as we go to Death Guard, turn 3. So as we go into the third battle round, let's roll the dice and see what happens to these objectives. And again, even with a plus or -1, it doesn't do anything. However, it does mean the objectives now shift back where they've come from. So let's move the objectives and go into the third battle round. So at the end of the movement phase for the third battle round for turn 3 for the Death Guard, the Foul Blightspawn has advanced to get onto the objective. There is one here as they've moved back that way towards him. He couldn't believe his luck and leapt on that objective, because in between there you've got a Rhino and Repentia to sort of get rid of, but there's one objective over here that's open. The Plague Burst Caller moved up but stayed within range of that objective. The Flesh Mower leapt up on top of the building, ready for a cheeky charge down into the sisters here. The Malignant Plague Caster moved his way through the building and is taking sights on the Dogmata and her squad, while this bloke drone strategically fell back to hold the objective at the back here. So the sisters have got their work cut out for them this turn. Will there be much left after this turn to see what they can hold on to and try and save this planet from rack and ruin? Let's see if we're going to Death Guard, turn 3. So at the start of the shooting phase, Thagux Plaguemirth draws power from the warp and uses a focused Witchfire against the sisters that are in front of him. He uses Plague Wind to see if he can cull what he sees in front of him. So it's D6 plus 3 because it's the heavy focused one. Ooh, so for 8. So it's a torrent weapon, so strength 6. They're in contagion range versus toughness 2, so 2's to wound. And they all wound. So including the Dogmata, there's only 8 left in this squad. So it's -2 becomes -3, so 6s for the sisters. And not a single one. So it's D3 damage a time. So that will kill all of these sisters. They're all gone. The Dogmata has 3 wounds. So how many wounds can he deal to the Dogmata? And it is the big 3. He literally mind bullets, Witchfire, completely destroys the squad in front of him. And Plaguemirth really has powered up and focused Grandfather's power. Did, however, all of that come at a cost? It's hazardous, so if he rolls a 1, he takes 3 mortal wounds. No, he's fine. He has full control over the warp, as was clearly demonstrated by wiping out an entire squad of sisters in front of him. Wow. So we'll come round now to the Plague Burst Crawler, who is going to split fire. He can't actually see. He's going to fire the mortar into the Canonesses squad at the top there, because he can't actually see them. It'll be indirect. And then he can thread the needle just with his entropy cannons into the Exorcist up there. So we'll start with the mortar. Respectable. Hitting on 4s, because he did move. And that's 1 lethal and 3 hits. Not bad. Wounding on 2s. So it's 4 wounds at -1, but back to +1 because of cover. Okay, excellent. So the 2 entropy cannons firing into the Exorcist. It can see, it can thread the needle, so both hit. That's excellent. So strength 10 versus toughness 10, so 4s to wound. That's 1 wound. I've got loads of CP, so I'm going to spend it. That is 2 wounds at -3. Becomes -2 because of cover. 1 goes through, so D6 +1. Ooh, for 7 wounds go through on the Exorcist. That was a critical hit. So that's shooting phase done. We'll move on to charges. There's only 1 charge happening because there's nothing left down here. I'm going to charge the bloat drone into the Retributor squad in the centre there. On a 3, that does not make it, so we'll spend a CP, different phase. And on a 4, that also doesn't make it. He's done nothing apart from look quite menacing. So we'll go on to defenders fighting first. And there are 3 sisters plus the image of fire left. So we'll get some dice together and hit some Plague Marines. So hitting on 4s. 2 hits, 5s to wound, and 1 wound comes through, but the Plague Marine tanks it, and so Plague Marines fight back. So 3 attacks from the Plague Knives, that's 2 lethals and a wound, so 3 at -1. 1 dies, and then 3 attacks with the Power Fist, hitting on 4s. That's 1 lethal and 2 misses, and so 4 up invulnerable save because the image of fire is still alive, which is failed. I don't have any CP to re-roll, so well I do have 1 CP, but I'm saving that. And so that smushes 1 of the sisters. Now this leaves some decisions to make, because now the Plague Marines have wrestled back the objective. There's now, because they've got an OC of 2 and we've got an OC of 1, so we'll have to see if there's anything that can be done there. Because there's not much assets left for the sisters now. We do have some Seraphim to come down this turn, which they will need to definitely do. So let's see what the sisters do to try and wrestle back this battle grid as we go into sisters turn 3. So at the end of the sisters movement phase, the Seraphim came in and are securing this objective for the end of the turn. The Repented disembarked, the second squad of Repented disembarked and moved round to take eyes and take aim at the Foul Blightspawn, and the Rhino came up in support. The Exorcist stayed still because it can thread the needle with its missile launcher through to this squad of Plague Marines, Plague Mirth squad over here. The Immolator came round to take sight on Plague Mirth squad, and the Canoness made her way up to try and get a charge off and support this Retributor squad here. So let's see what happens as we go into the sisters' shooting phase. So we'll start the shooting phase with the Exorcist, who is going to, the only thing it can shoot is the missile launcher really, into the squad over there. I'm going to spend one of the miracle dice for the number of shots by that unit. So that's been spent. So D6 plus 3 gives me 8, plus I get 1 for blast. So, but with 4 wounds left, it's hitting on 4. Okay. Wounding on 2s. Okay. So becomes -1 with cover, and 2 go through. So it's D6 a time. First one kills 1, second one kills 1. So that's 2 Plague Marines dead. So we'll go on to the heavy bolter coming from the Immolator. And it misses 1 but gets sustained force to wound. That's 2 wounds come through. And 1 goes through and kills another Marine. Put that up there. So 2 multi-melters, both hit. 3's to wound. They are twin linked, so that goes through. It is -4. I can take 1 on the cover, so it becomes -3, so 6s. Okay, and at this range it kills 2 more. So with the shooting phase done, there's only really some charges left to do, which will charge the Canoness and that Battle Sister into this squad of Plague Marines. Will charge the Repentia and the Rhino into this squad of Plague Marines with the Foul Blightspawn. So we'll charge the Repentia, and they get a 4. We'll charge, which turns into a 2. Interesting. Okay, we'll charge the Rhino. A 7 turns into a 5. And the Canoness we'll spend 1 of the CPs that we have to re-roll, and an 11 gets her in. Okay, so spending my last remaining CP on tank shock for the Rhino. Let's see if we can whittle down anything before that Foul Blightspawn squad strikes back and kill the Repentia, because we don't have the CP to have them fight on death. And that's 2 mortal wounds go through. 1 was on 1 wound. The Rhino did do a wound with its storm bolters, so that kills 1, puts 1 down to 1 wound. So let's see. So coming down this end, we've got 2 heavy weapons plus a Foul Blightspawn. So the heavy weapons are 3 attacks each, hitting on 4s. 6s are lethal. Oh my goodness. Okay, the Repentia, it could backfire. So 1 lethal already, and then wounding on 2. Okay. We will spend a CP to reroll one of those into a 1, of course. It's 4 6 up invulnerable saves for the Repentia. None of them. Okay, so it's 2 damage a pop. So the first one is dead. Second one is alive. She's now dead. The third one's dead. Leaves 1 Repentia plus the superior. So the Foul Blightspawn uses his melee weapons, his combat plague knife, hits on 3s, misses once. Strength 4, toughness 2, so wounds on 2s. So 6 up invulnerable save to keep that Repentia alive, followed by a 5 up feel no pain. Come on. No. So 5 up feel no pain. No. So that Repentia falls and it's just left with the Sister Superior once she piles in to see what she can do to take down 3 Plague Marines on her own. So she gets 4 attacks and her squad is well below half strength. So hitting on 3s, getting to hitting on 2s. Okay, so 3 hits. Would be, it's anti-infantry 4, so it would be 5s back to 4s anyway. And 2 wounds go through. -1, 1 damage. And they're both passed. So as we come around here, the Canoness strikes out at the 2 Plague Marines that are left. She's got the Blessed Blade and she's got the St. Eleanor upgrade enhancement. So she gets 4 attacks and she's hitting on 2s. But because she's leading in a unit, she can re-roll the hit roll. So all of them hit. It's strength 7 versus, it's now strength 6 but gets an additional pip of strength. So it's strength 7 versus toughness 5, so 3s to wound. Oh, and I don't have any CP to re-roll anything. Excellent. So it becomes, it's -2, 3 damage with the extra pip. And that does kill one of the Marines. Battle Sister came in and she missed with a hit. So now the Plague Marine strikes back. He gets 3 attacks. He's got a heavy plague weapon hitting on 4s. He's hit twice. He's going into the Canoness's squad, wounding on 2s. Okay, does 1 wound. Which is failed. And kills that sister, but leaves the Canoness standing. So the Image of Fire squad strikes out at that lone champion and hits once. Doesn't wound. Okay. That marks the end of the sisters' turn, and they've managed to take this central objective. That champion is OC2, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4 sisters on there. That one just hide in there. And we hold this one. But over here, we don't hold this one. The Death Guard have maintained that one, and the one over in their deployment zone, or just outside it anyway. So and they hold this one still with the Plague Burst Crawler. So it'll be 15 points to the Death Guard and 10 points to the Sisters. There's a slight stretch coming, ready for battle round 4. So let's see where the objectives go and see if the Death Guard can riposte against the Sisters' final battle shout. So it's going to battle round 4, and let's see where the objectives go. And they head back this way and over there, back towards the centre. So let's move the objectives and see how both sides react. So at the end of the Death Guard movement phase for turn 4, this Plague Marine fell back, and the Flesh Mowers come round to target the Cannoness. The Plague Burst Crawlers moved up to get a better line of sight and try and finish off the Exorcist, whilst this bloat drone came round and is putting everything into the Imagifier's unit. This squad here of Plague Marines stood still, and they're going to target as best they can the Immolator. Also, the Foul Blightspawn squad stayed in combat, because we couldn't move that. You can't finish the objective moving under the base or under the hull of a vehicle, so we left that one where it is. So with that, we'll go on to the Death Guard shooting phase. So we're going to fire the mortar into the Seraphim and the entropy cannons into the Exorcist. We'll start with the entropy cannons. Okay. So number of shots for the mortar. Oh, excellent. So it's hitting on 4s because it's indirect. And there's 1 lethal. Wounding on 2s. Okay, so 4 wounds come through. And it kills 1. So working round to the bloat drone, going into the Imagifier's squad of Retributors. We get 2d6 for the number of shots for 8. It's Torrent and Anti-Infantry 2+. Not bad. So that is 7 wounds at effectively -2. But the Imagifier gives that squad a 4 binder. If they're gone. Miracle dice for that unit is a 2. Okay. So over the far side, Plague Mirth is going to fire and try and channel the warp again and try and whittle some wounds off of the Immolator. So it's d6 + 3 for 5 this time. It'll be 5s to wound on this occasion. And doesn't do bad at 3 wounds at -2. Becomes -3 because of contagion. And 2 go through. So it's 2d3 damage for 4 wounds on the Immolator. So the only charges to make, really, we don't want to charge the Immolator because I don't think we're going to do too much to it, but we will charge the Flesh Mower into the Cannoness and see if we can take her out. On the 7, that Flesh Mower's in. And as the Flesh Mower comes in, the Cannoness activates her 2-up invulnerable save that she gets to do once per battle. I think it's more than apt to do it now. As the Flesh Mower comes in, the 10 attacks hit on 3s. Okay, we drop a few, but we do get one lethal. Strength 7, wounding on 2s. So that is 4, 6 wounds. That's a 2 up invulnerable save. I'm going to spend one of my 2s at my pool and roll the other 5. She's fine. So with this Foul Blight Spawn squad having fight first, they will fight and be able to attack this Repenter Superior first. So we will do the attacks from the Foul Blight Spawn into her, and then we'll do the heavy weapons into the Rhino. He hits, wounds. Okay, she takes a wound. So then the heavy weapons into the Rhino. Hit on 4s. That's 1 lethal. We'll re-roll one of those. Okay, for CP. 5s to wound. No wounds come through. Can it save? No. So it takes a further 2 damage. It has got 5 left. And then the Canoness strikes back at the bloat drone, getting on 2s. Okay. Strength 7 because of the additional things with her enhancement, so 4s to wound. So that's 2 wounds come through to the bloat drone on the 5 up demon save. Both go through. That is 6 damage that go through. For some reason I did think that they had more wounds than that, but no, they take that squad out. What's the miracle dice? It's a 3. Okay. So that marks the end of Death Guard turn 4. What, if anything, can the sisters do to try and redress the balance as we go into sisters turn 4? So at the end of sisters movement phase for turn 4, the Immolator comes up and sits next to the objective in a hope that with some damage caused with its weapons, if it does any, it will be able to OC anything that's left off of that. We will see. The Seraphim squad came up, and with their 2 Inferno pistols, we're going to try and kablam that champion, leaving the Canoness in combat and see if we can tank it. Anyway, on to the shooting phase, and we'll start with the Exorcist. So using a miracle dice for its decent number of shots, so that'll be 8 shots coming in to the Foul Blight Spawn squad. So 8 shots coming in for the Exorcist. Oof. So 2s to wound. That is 4 wounds. -2 becomes -1. Ooh, okay. Okay, so straight up kills this dude. He's gone with the 1 wound. So the second D6, 2 wounds to get through for the champion. Oh, and then kills the champion with the 3rd wound, leaving the Foul Blight Spawn. Okay, now we've got our work cut out for us. So coming around this side, everything from the Immolator is going to go into Plague Mirth's squad of Marines. So heavy bolter, and it sustained. 4s to wound. That is 3 wounds. Cool, the dream is definitely alive. One is in cover. We'll start with him. Nope, he's dead. And the other two, with the second champion, he's also dead. Right, and then on to Plague Mirth. The 3, he takes 2 wounds. So I guess the question is, can Plague Mirth take 2 multi-melters to the face? Let's find out. They both hit. 3s to wound, but they are twin linked. They don't need to be twin linked. -4. That's no save. And it's melter 2. But how much damage does he actually take? Oh, poor Plague Mirth. He takes 8. He takes 14 wounds to the face. I think he's quite dead. So we come around here to the Seraphim squad, putting everything it can into the champion. So we'll start with the bolt pistols. So hitting on 3s, hitting on 2s now because they have lost a member of their squad. And this one managed to miss twice. He's right in front of you. 5s to wound. No wounds. Okay. Then the 2 Inferno pistols. So again, hit on 2s. 3 hits. Strength 8, toughness 5, so 3s to wound. That is 3 wounds. That is -4, and that is melter 2 at this range. That poor Plague champion does not stand a chance. And he is melted to goo right in front of everybody. And he's gone. So with that now just leaves the charges, and I suppose the only thing to do is to charge the Seraphim squad into the flesh mower and see if we can pick off those 4 wounds. It's going to be tough, but let's see what we can do. So the Seraphim go charging in. On a 9, they're in. So we'll start with the Seraphim Superior with her power sword. It's 3 attacks because of below the starting strength, +1 to the hit roll, hitting on 2s. And all 3 hit. Here comes the tough part. Strength 4 versus toughness 9. 6s to wound. Nope, nothing. So now the Seraphim themselves. Okay, and again, 6s to wound. Nothing. Okay. So now the flesh mower can attack back, and it will put everything that it has into that cannoness. She's used her 2-up invuln. Let's see if we can do some damage. So 10 attacks, hitting on 3s. 6s are lethal. He's dropped a few there. Those wounds are coming through. 2s to wound. So that is 5 wounds come through on the 4 vulnerable save. Let's see how we get on. Not very well. Not very well at all. And with that, the cannoness falls. Or does she? The light of the Emperor's grace. We spend miracle dice. And she stands back up and roars her defiance. Screams at the demon engine in front of her as we go on to Death Guard, turn 5. Before we move on to that, we need to just finish off the battle round. We have got assisters on this objective. The sisters are OCing the flesh mower off this objective, and we hold this objective here. So that's 15 points to the sisters to 10 to the Death Guard for holding that one, and holding this one with the blight spawn that just don't want to die. So up to 40 points. So it is everything to play for as we go into turn 5. It's 35 points to the sisters and 40 points to the Death Guard. Let's start the battle round. Let's see what happens to the objectives. Now, what I want to do, because actually on this one I can either leave it like that as a sister player, or I can move the objectives further away. At the end of the Death Guard movement phase, there wasn't much to do. With the bloke drone's ability to fall back and charge, that's what it's done. The flesh mowers fell out of combat, meaning that this bloke drone up here can take a pop shot with its spewers at the sisters and see if we can get rid of them off that objective, charge back in and take the cannoness out. The objectives, we did go and opt for them to go back the opposite way. 5, this is the twilight of the game. Let's see what can be done. And we'll start with the Plague Burst Crawler, putting its entropy cannons into the Exorcist, and its Plague Burst Mortar will go into the Seraphim. So we'll start with the entropy cannons. Both hit. So this one being lethal, and then because of contagion range, we're now wounding on 3s, which is also a successful wound. 6s. We make 1 and we fail 1. So there is 4 wounds left on that Exorcist. We need to get at least a 3. So 3 wounds, we leave it with 1 remaining. So can the Rot Hell Volley Gun do, can it power up? Never know with lethal hits, so hitting on 3s. It's got 1 lethal hit. 5s to wound. That is 3 wounds coming through. All it's got to do is fail 1, and an Exorcist could go bumba. And it does. It fails 1. Does it explode? No. It just collapses in on itself and decays into rotten ruin. So the number of shots for the Plague Burst Mortar. Ooh, it's the big 9 again. So hitting on 4s. Okay. 2s to wound. That's 3 wounds go through at -1, becomes -0 because of cover. That kills outright 3 of the Seraphim. So moving on to that bloke drone into the last remaining Seraphim Superior with 2d6 shots from the Plague Spitters. For 6, wounding on 2s. That is 6 wounds that come through. Essentially 5 up saves, -2 because of the -1 to the save. Yeah, she's dead. So rolling a miracle dice for the Exorcist is a 6, could come in handy, and 1 for the Seraphim, so 5 would also come in very handy. That marks the end of the shooting phase. Oh no, we'll have to go at the Foul Blight Spawn and see what he can do. Yeah, well, 6 shots. he does a wound. And it does go through. So, the only thing left to do now is to charge the Plague Burst mortar, the Flesh Mower bloat drone into the Cannoness. Just don't roll the snake eyes. You just about make it. Okay. So 10 attacks come through from the bloat drone, hitting on 3s. 6s being lethal. Again, I have seen better, blimey, that is not pretty. Wounding on 2s. Those 4 wounds come through, she needs to save every single one of them. So we're going to spend a miracle dice. Give her 4 up in vulnerable. We're going to spend one of the 4s. She only has 3 left to roll. Come on. No. This time she falls. And she falls for good. As Cannoness Marcella falls, the only thing that's left to do is see if the Immolator and the Rhino can make any effect to try and turn the tide of this battle as we go on to Sisters, turn 5. Okay, so the Sisters got a lot to do. There's the end game where if we control more objectives than our opponent at the end of the battle, we get 15 VP. It's going to be super tight. So everything's got to fall into place with the Immolator, and this Rhino has really, really got to power up. So let's see what we can do as we go on to Sisters movement phase. Let's see what we end up doing. We'll start down here with the Rhino. The Rhino moved up, try and get as close as he can to the Foul Blight spawn. He's going to fire his Storm Bolters at the Foul Blight spawn in an effort to try and do anything. So rapid fire 2, hitting on 4s now because he's only got 3 wounds left. So we'll go over to the Immolator, firing everything into that bloat drone, starting with the heavy bolters. We miss once, of course we do, but we do wound. And it gets a bit of cover. 2 melters, let's go for it. 1 hit, 1 misses. I'm going to use a CP reroll on that one. I've got nothing left to lose. Okay, both hit. I'm going to use a miracle dice for a wound. And I'm going to roll the other one. 3s to wound. No, 4s to wound. Twin linked. 2 wounds go through, so 2 demon saves. And it makes them both. So the only thing that's left to do is charge and spend a tank shock and see if we can get rid of the Foul Blight spawn. So we'll charge. Definitely in. And let's see. 5 attacks, 5s to wound, for mortal wounds. Just the 1 mortal wound. Okay. So now he gets 3 attacks, hitting on 5s now. And with that, there's nothing left that the Sisters can do. They've lost the Cannoness Marcella. Will she have succumbed to her wounds, or will she return? We'll have to wait and see as we move through this campaign. So making that 50 points to 40, and then the additional 15 for holding more objectives than the opponent at the end of the game, makes the end game 65 points to 40 in favour of the Death Guard. And that is how Mission 1, the start of the Black Watch campaign, that's how this story ends. How will the other Solblades fare as we carry on recording the events through the 4th Tyrannic War, and how the Order of the Burning Shield, the Black Watch, how they played their part for the Imperium. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. It's been a little while since I rolled some dice. See you all on the next one.